I think he's trying to get reconciliation before the king goes. I mean, he did obviously say in that BBC interview, I don't know how much longer my father has left, and obviously dropped a bunch more bombshells in that interview. It wasn't that long ago, so it's kind of crazy now that they're trying to share diary slots and trying to figure out how he can kind of get back in with the royal fold, because Queen Elizabeth II did say you can't have it both ways. You can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out royals.
The reality is, in the past, they got support from the king and the late Queen, and that they said they were going to go and make their way. They've lost Spotify, they've lost Netflix. They can't rely on the spare money forever, can they?
Finally, there seems to be at least this open communication between the King's team and Harry's team, which simply hasn't been there from all the conversations I've had. It's not been there. And it's kind of, I think, probably trying to get rid of some of the really unnecessary negative stories. Like, I don't know, for example, Harry's out on a job on the same day that his dad's in Canada, and immediately we're all jumping on it going, oh, Harry's snubbed his dad, when Harry doesn't know the diary of his father.
When Prince Harry walked away from royal life, it wasn't just about leaving behind titles or palaces. It was about breaking ties with centuries of tradition and, more painfully, distancing himself from his own family. The decision was bold, controversial, and made headlines across the world. But now, several years later, Harry may be looking for a path back, a way to mend old wounds. The only problem? King Charles no longer seems interested in meeting him halfway. Insiders say reconciliation with Harry is not even on the king's radar. In fact, one royal expert put it bluntly: it would take someone dragging Charles into the room for that conversation to happen. The silence between father and son isn't just awkward, it's telling. Because while Harry may be extending an olive branch, Charles is holding firm. After everything that's happened, he's no longer willing to bend. For the last few years, Charles has watched his youngest son go from loyal royal to tell-all author, spilling deeply personal family secrets across television screens, bookshelves, and streaming platforms. The monarchy values discretion above all else, and in the eyes of the palace, Harry broke that sacred code again and again. It's easy to forget that Charles once went out of his way to keep Harry close. Even when the late Queen and Prince William kept a measured distance, Charles would still reach out. Phone calls, messages, attempts at reconciliation, they all happened. Even after the Oprah interview sent shockwaves through Buckingham Palace, Charles reportedly still wanted to believe there was a future for Harry inside the royal fold. But then came Spare, a memoir that was meant to be cathartic ended up being explosive. The revelations ranged from petty sibling fights to deeply personal moments between father and son. Charles was portrayed as distant, emotionally awkward, and sometimes even cold. For a man who spent decades being misunderstood by the public, those words cut deep. He didn't fire back publicly. But behind the scenes, something changed. And it hasn't changed back. As King Charles faces one of the most challenging chapters of his life battling cancer, while leading the British monarchy, he's recalibrating his priorities.
And I think it's exactly what the king warned Harry about. Make sure you've got a good plan for your exit. 5 years down the line, they've done okay. They've made a lot of money, and Spare made him a lot of money. But is it going to be enough to sustain them? I doubt it.
And Harry simply doesn't rank high anymore. His time, his energy, and his emotional bandwidth are being invested in the people and duties that surround him every day. The people who have stayed. Sources say Harry tried to meet his father earlier this year when he was briefly in the UK. He made an effort, reaching out, offering to coordinate diaries, even expressing a desire to reconnect, but nothing came of it. King Charles reportedly had too many official obligations, and perhaps too many scars to entertain the idea. It's not about punishment anymore. It's about self-preservation. This growing divide isn't just about time zones or busy schedules, it's about trust. After all the public disclosures, the palace no longer feels secure around Harry. There's always the looming fear that another conversation might one day become content for a podcast, a documentary, or a second book. And that's a risk the monarchy can't afford. For Charles, the emotional toll has been immense. According to a source close to the palace, one moment from Spare struck a nerve more than any other. Harry claimed that during a particularly tense family moment, Charles pleaded with his sons, "Please, boys, Don't make my final years a misery." At the time, it felt like a father begging for peace. Now, with his health in question and his reign still in its infancy, that plea feels hauntingly prophetic. Yet, even in this quiet estrangement, there's no official severing of ties. Charles hasn't made any public declarations. But what he has done is stopped waiting. The king is no longer holding space for his son. If reconciliation comes, it will be on Charles's terms, if it comes at all. Meanwhile, Harry finds himself in a difficult position. The US media landscape is shifting. Public interest in the Sussexes has cooled, and some of their projects haven't landed with the same impact they once did. There's speculation that a return to royal favor could reignite interest in the brand. But for that to happen, Harry would need to rebuild from the ground up, and that begins with trust. And that's where things get even more complicated. Meghan Markle, who has been notably absent from royal-related commentary in recent months, appears to be steering her focus toward independent ventures, lifestyle brands, Hollywood productions, and new business endeavors. While the Sussexes remain publicly united, insiders suggest Meghan is more cautious about re-engaging with the monarchy given the past fallout. Harry, on the other hand, seems increasingly pulled between two worlds: the independent life he's built in California and the deep-rooted legacy he left behind in Britain. That internal conflict between personal freedom and family belonging might be pushing him toward a reconciliation he's not entirely sure how to navigate. But even if Harry shows up with genuine remorse, even if he's ready to put in the work, the doors won't swing open automatically. Prince William remains a formidable roadblock. Reports suggest that William hasn't forgiven his brother, not even close. He sees the damage, the headlines, the global embarrassment, and he's not interested in pretending everything's fine. If Charles were to welcome Harry back too quickly, it could risk further fracturing the already fragile bond between his sons. And so the stalemate continues. The king, who waited years to ascend to the throne, is now choosing to lead without distraction. His reign, though touched by illness, has become laser-focused. Charles wants to leave behind a legacy of stability, unity, and dignity. Not scandal, not conflict, and certainly not more drama. Still, despite everything, there's a sense that the story isn't over. This family has been through worse. Divorce, infidelity, public disgrace, the British monarchy has weathered it all. But this time, healing will take more than titles and tea at Balmoral. It will take time, it will take real change, and it will take humility from everyone. For now, the king isn't moving toward reconciliation. He's standing still. And he's not standing still out of anger, but out of resolve. If Harry wants to be part of his father's final years, he'll need to make that journey himself, quietly, without cameras, without a press release. Because if there's one thing Charles has learned after a lifetime in the public eye, it's this: real family isn't about spectacle. It's about showing up and staying.